The nearest hospital, I think, was an hour and a half away, and I was in an excruciating pain. And I literally thought I was going to die. Hey everyone, my name is Emily and welcome back to my channel. Can we all just agree that life is absolutely crazy? Like, the last couple months, I feel like absolutely nothing has gone how I imagined it going or how I hoped it would go. Anyone else feel that way? Let's just say that my health journey has been a roller coaster that never seems to stop. It's constantly up and down and all over the place. And I'm just grateful to be here and to be alive and healthy. And that's what matters, right? If you missed last video, I'll catch you up real quick on what happened. I had another CT scan done, which did show that I was having a small bowel obstruction. They were able to treat it with medications like antibiotics and pain meds. And after a few days of being monitored there and my body started working again, I was able to go home. I would be able to resume normal activity and hopefully enjoy my family reunion. So now you're all caught up. So I finally made it to the woods with my family for our family reunion and everything seemed to be going great. I was having so much fun. I was able to go four-wheeling with my family, playing games. We celebrated my sister's birthday and it was so nice and so refreshing to be in nature and to just be with people that I care about, and I was feeling good and I was just ready to move on in life. I had a trip planned the following week. I was gonna fly down to California, meet my husband. We were gonna spend a few weeks there with his family. Everything just seemed like it was gonna be perfect. At this point, I was eating pretty much everything normal again. I wasn't being too careful about things that would be harder to digest, except the only thing that I was avoiding, which I've been avoiding since my diagnosis, is corn. So I was eating everything normal, just going about my day, having fun, and life was good. We got there on Monday, the 8th of August, and Tuesday night, we decided to have a movie night with our family. We sat down, was chewing on some popcorn and some cookies, and all of a sudden I started feeling a little bit of discomfort in my stomach. And I assumed it was just normal discomfort that anyone would feel if they ate something that upset their stomach. So I wasn't too concerned and I just continued watching the movie and had fun because that's what I was there to do. I wasn't there to be worried about stomach problems or health issues. I was gonna have fun because I hadn't had fun in a long time and I felt like I really deserved it. Also, after being discharged from the hospital the prior week, they sent me home with some more prednisone, which was supposed to keep all the inflammation down, so I wasn't too worried about having another stomach problem. Well, that night I went to sleep and I could not sleep. I was up the whole night just tossing and turning, feeling so miserable. I knew something was going on, but I hoped that the longer I was there trying to sleep that it would just go away. I had a heating pad on my stomach, I was sipping on water, eating some food to help with nausea, and I thought I'd be good. Well, this pain did not go away. It persisted and it was awful. I describe this pain as being like contractions. I know it isn't, but that's just the easiest way to explain what they were. They would come every 30 minutes, all the way down to every 5 minutes. It varied and I didn't know when it was gonna hit, but when it hit, it hurt, and it hurt bad. Wednesday was a really long day because it was just a day full of trying to get the pain to go away, and I was really prideful and didn't want to say anything to my family because I didn't want to have to go back to the hospital. I had just been there like twice the week before and I was done with hospital visits. Also, because we were in the woods, I wouldn't even be able to reach out to anyone because there was no cell service. So I figured I would just wait things out and eventually I'd be fine. As Wednesday night came, I was in excruciating pain. I decided to tell my mom about what was going on and we started keeping track of how often I was having the pain and how serious it was. I wasn't able to eat any food at this point and I could barely keep any water down as well. The only thing that seemed to help a little bit was a heating pad, and I also tried getting my feet zoned and rubbing peppermint oil on my abdomen and just smelling it to try and breathe better and to relax, and nothing seemed to be working. As a last resort, I finally took a Benadryl to hopefully help relax my body and help me to get some sleep. Let's just say it didn't work. I think I got maybe 30 minutes of sleep that night and I woke up extremely nauseous and I started throwing up. At this point, the wheels started really turning in my mind, and I knew that I was probably having another bowel obstruction. Can I get a break? Like, does this ever end? Like, honestly, it just seems like there's one health problem after another and I just don't get a break. And it was very frustrating. The pain was also so bad, and I knew that something needed to be done. Because we were in the woods, there was no cell service, so I wasn't able to reach out to my doctor at first. But then we found that the lodge we were staying at had a little bit of Wi-Fi in one portion of the lodge. So luckily the caretaker was kind enough to give us the password, and we were able to get a hold of my doctor. They said that we needed to get to the nearest hospital as soon as we could. We were in the middle of the woods in Idaho. The nearest hospital, I think, was an hour and a half away, and I was in an excruciating pain. I could barely talk or even breathe through the contraction type pain, and I literally thought I was going to die. My family helped us load everything up into the car, and my mom took me to the nearest hospital. That drive was the longest drive of my life. The pain was so bad and so unbearable that there were moments where I didn't think I was gonna make it. But eventually we made it to the nearest hospital, which was in Ketchum, Idaho, or Sun Valley. And after waiting in the emergency room waiting area forever, they finally took me back. Since it was such a small hospital, they didn't even have a real room available. So they put me in this storage room. There was a bunch of old machines covered in plastic bags, and there happened to be a bed there, so I was able to lay down, and they were able to give me pain meds, and all this happened to be in this weird storage room. At least I had a good view from the room, so I guess that was one bonus, one perk of having that weird room. Eventually, an actual room opened up, so they were able to move me there, and they were able to give me another CT scan. And the results from this one showed that I was having another bowel obstruction, but this one was way more severe than the last one. Because it was such a small hospital, they told me that they probably wouldn't be able to give me the care that I needed there, and I would likely have to be transferred to another hospital to receive surgery. I was devastated. I did not want to have surgery. I told myself that I would do everything possible to avoid having to have surgery, unless of course it was life-threatening and I needed it to save my life. And in this case, it was. I ended up spending about 12 hours in the emergency room just waiting, being told where I was gonna go, when I would be able to go, and how I would get there. There's a lot of things to figure out with this because being life-flighted or going in an ambulance is not a cheap thing, and so I needed to make sure the insurance was gonna work with that first. Finally, at around 12:30 in the morning on August 12th, so the next day, an EMT team showed up and they got me loaded up into a stretcher. They put all these straps on me and were trying to get my cord and everything figured out, and they even had to hook stuff up to me, but because my gown was tied all weird, they had to like rip open my gown to put everything on. It was just not fun. To make things worse, I had an NG tube up my nose, which is so uncomfortable, so I couldn't breathe very well. I was on oxygen. It was a whole mess. But they finally got me loaded up into the ambulance. My mom was able to come with me, and my dad ended up driving down through the night to meet us at the hospital the next morning. We rode in an ambulance to the nearest airport, and there they had a medical airplane from St. Luke's. They loaded me up into it with the team. It was a really small airplane. It fit the pilots, the team, which I think there were 3 of them, my mom, and myself. So it was a very small plane, and off we went. I think we ended up making it to Salt Lake City around 2 in the morning, where they loaded me onto another ambulance and took me the rest of the way to the hospital where I would be staying. It was a crazy, long, chaotic, tiring morning. And sometimes I'm still in shock at everything that happened. As a kid, I always remember seeing airplanes and helicopters and stuff going by and be like, I wonder what it would be like to be in there. Having been in one, it's not fun. It was medically necessary and it had to be done, but I hope and pray that it will never have to happen again, that I will never find myself in that situation, needing to be life-flighted to save my life. Once we got there, it was a really long, restless night. As it already was, it just continued that way, with doctors and nurses and surgeons coming in every few minutes to take vitals, to talk about our plan going forward. It was just chaos, and I didn't know what to think or how to feel. other than I was just overwhelmed at everything that had happened. You know, like 24 hours prior, I was in the woods with my family, mostly having fun. I was in pain, but I was still trying to have fun playing games. And here we are 24 hours later, in a hospital in a different state, being told that I would probably need surgery. The next morning, a surgeon team came in and explained that after looking at the CT scan, I would in fact need to have surgery. What had happened is, while I had had a small bowel obstruction before and it was able to be treated with medication, they looked closer at this one and found that it wasn't just inflammation in my intestine. Instead, it was scar tissue, so much scar tissue that had built up from over the years from having Crohn's, that it was blocking off my intestine and nothing could get through, which explains why I was in so much excruciating pain. And they said that the only way that I would be able to resume living a normal life and not end up back in the hospital every few days is if they went in and cut out that part of my small intestine. I was terrified. I've never had a serious surgery besides wisdom teeth, and that's not even that serious. So I knew that this was gonna be a long road ahead of me with recovery, and to make things worse, they also told me that I would likely need an ostomy bag. I was shook. I didn't know what to think, and I honestly wanted to say no in that moment. For those of you who don't know, an ostomy bag is, there are a lot of different types of ostomies. There's colostomies, ileostomies, urostomies, and in my case, it would be an ileostomy, and hopefully a temporary one. Because I had been on so many steroids before with all the prednisone, if they were to reconnect my intestines back together, it wouldn't really hold because the steroids would have broken down my intestines. So in order to give my intestines the best chance of healing after surgery, they would give me an ileostomy bag where they would loop part of my small intestines out of my body through my abdomen, and I would have a bag. And they told me that this could be 3 to 6 months or even 6 to 9 months. And I was so scared, but at this point I knew that I needed to do whatever necessary to save my life and to give me my life back. I'm so grateful for the medical teams that took care of me and for taking me where I needed to go to receive the best medical care that could really, truly save my life. And I will forever be grateful for that. There's so much more that still continued to happen after this that I want to share with you, with the surgery and recovering from the surgery and how my life changed from all of this with having a bag. And I hope you will stick around and subscribe so that you can see what life has been like for me as I am navigating these new challenges with Crohn's and learning to live this new normal life.